Hi folks, welcome to RJ Impact. Today we're going to be talking about an extraordinary set of events involving a mother and child relationship that took place over 2 decades, starting in Louisiana and ending in Missouri. This is the first of a two-parter. In this part we'll lay out the facts of what is an extraordinary true story, and in the second part we'll connect the dots and show what really links the following: the close bond between a mother and her very ill, mentally challenged daughter, a mysterious disappearance, a systematic fraud lasting years, a secret online relationship, and ultimately a murder that linked them all together. This is one of those mysteries that in hindsight had all its elements open and in plain sight for all to see, if only they could connect the dots. In the context of this channel, fraud, hoaxes and conspiracy theories, it was actually the fraud that led to the murder, but not in the way that you would normally expect. And with all that set up, let's dive into the middle of our story with the pivotal event that tragically, but ultimately, provided the key, or keys, to unlocking the mystery. A suspicious death. On the fateful day of June the 14th, 2015, authorities in Greene County, Missouri, USA made a grim discovery. The lifeless body of Claudine Dee Blanchard was found in a chilling scene. Face down in the bedroom of her residence just outside Springfield, the bed was stained with a pool of blood, a haunting testament to the stab wounds inflicted upon her several days earlier. The unsettling part? Her daughter, Gypsy Rose, was nowhere to be found. Now, Gypsy Rose was a young girl grappling with a myriad of chronic conditions, including leukemia, asthma, and muscular dystrophy, amongst many other ailments. Gypsy Rose possessed the mental capacity of a 7-year-old due to brain damage stemming from a premature birth. In the wake of concerning Facebook statuses surfacing from Dee Dee's account, the Blanchard circle of friends began to sense that something was awry. As call to Dee Dee went unanswered, a group of friends and neighbours decided to take matters into their own hands and headed for the Blanchard residence. While it wasn't uncommon for the mother-daughter duo to embark on unannounced medical trips, this time things seemed different. Dee Dee's customised car was still parked in the driveway, casting doubt on the usual explanation of an impromptu journey. The windows, which were cloaked in protective film, made it nearly impossible to peer inside amidst the dim light. With no response at the door, the concerned friends dialed 911. Upon the arrival of the police, there was a tense wait for a search warrant, but eager to get answers, one of the neighbours was permitted to climb through a window. What he discovered inside was haunting. The house itself appeared largely undisturbed, and all of Gypsy's wheelchairs and medical equipment remained in place. Once the warrant was secured, the police entered the premises and tragically discovered Dee Dee's lifeless body. In the aftermath, a GoFundMe account emerged, aiming to cover funeral expenses for Dee Dee and potentially for Gypsy as well. Fears gripped those who knew the Blanchards, anticipating the worst. Even if Gypsy had escaped physical harm, the absence of a crucial support systems, wheelchair, medications, oxygen tanks, feeding tube and so on, left them deeply concerned for her well-being. What had happened to Dee Dee, and where was Gypsy Rose? Let's take a step back into the early life and marriage of Dee Dee Blanchard, because there are clues that would foreshadow what happened later. Dee Dee Blanchard, originally called Claudine Pitre, was born in Louisiana in 1967 and grew up there with her family, one of 5 siblings. She worked in the caring profession, becoming a caring nurse, which helped as she also became a significant carer for her own mother. She looked after her through her illness, and unfortunately Dee Dee's mother died whilst Dee Dee was in her early 20s. At the age of 24, a significant chapter in her life unfolded as she discovered she was expecting a child with Rod Blanchard, who was then 17. Choosing a name that reflected both their preferences, they named their daughter Gypsy Rose, Dee Dee loving the name Gypsy, while Rod was a fan of Guns N' Roses. However, the anticipation of parenthood clashed with the strains in their relationship, and shortly before Gypsy Rose's arrival in July 1991, the couple decided to part ways and Dee Dee returned to live with her family. The childhood of a gypsy. At just 3 months old, Dee Dee became convinced that Gypsy suffered from sleep apnea, leading to repeated hospital visits with overnight stays and tests that found no evidence at that time of the condition. Dee Dee started to attribute a variety of health issues to an unspecified chromosomal disorder. And as Gypsy grew older, she continued to have various health issues, including muscular dystrophy. Gypsy used a walker, and her mother then insisted on her need for a wheelchair after a minor motorcycle accident at the age of 7 or 8 resulted in a knee abrasion. Despite her challenges, Gypsy was involved in Special Olympics teams events, and in 2001, at the age of 10, she was named the Honorary Queen of the Crew of Mid-City during the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Gypsy's formal education was cut short, potentially as early as kindergarten, her mother homeschooling her due to her severe illnesses. Gypsy said she effectively taught herself to read through the Harry Potter books. Now, whilst Gypsy's father had moved on, Dee Dee, now living with her father and stepmother, faced accusations of poisoning her stepmother's food with weed killer, leading to her stepmother's chronic illness. Now, when confronted about this, Dee Dee left for Slidell, where she and Gypsy lived in public housing, relying on child support payments and public assistance. Their days were filled with visits to specialists, mainly at Tulane Medical Center and the Children's Hospital of New Orleans. There were ongoing treatments for issues like hearing and vision problems. Gypsy had many operations and was prescribed anti-seizure medication. If all that wasn't bad enough, they were caught in Hurricane Katrina, and after that the pair moved to a shelter in Covington. Gypsy's medical records unfortunately were lost in the flooding, but urged by a doctor, they were relocated to Missouri the following month, airlifted to a new chapter in their troubled journey. The move to Missouri. On relocating to Missouri, Dee Dee and Gypsy initially settled into a rented home in Aurora in the southwestern part of the state. During this period, Gypsy received recognition from the Oli Foundation as its 2007 Child of the Year, advocating for the rights of feeding tube recipients. In 2008, Habitat for Humanity built them a small home with accommodations like a wheelchair ramp and a hot tub. Their story, a narrative of a single mother and her severely disabled daughter escaping the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, garnered significant local media attention. The Springfield community rallied around them, providing support to the woman now going by the name of Claudina Blanchard, but still known as Dee Dee. One very troubling and unsettling event took place while they were in Missouri. You see, Gypsy, constrained to activities she could do confined at home, had become a fan of science fiction and fantasy, and Dee Dee would take her to conventions whenever Gypsy's health allowed it. Despite being wheelchair-bound, Gypsy would embrace the events, dressing up in the costumes of her favourite characters. During one convention in 2011, Dee Dee turned her head for a minute, and Gypsy had disappeared. Now, I can't find too much detail about the events that followed, but as far as I can make out, Dee Dee ran from room to room, knocking on hotel doors, and eventually one was opened by a man that I've seen variously described as either being around 35 or around 24. Either way, Gypsy was seen in the room too, and the man fled after Dee Dee, waving Gypsy's papers in his face, accused him of trying to do the unmentionable with a minor. Generosity surrounded them. Charitable donations poured in, including free flights for medical appointments, trips to Disney World, and backstage passes to concerts, all facilitated by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This gave them a comfortable life, despite the fact that Rod Blanchard, Dee Dee's ex, as she said, failed to support them with any alimony payments he was required to make. Rod and Dee Dee's previous family life gradually became a distant, bad dream. Gypsy, with a distinctive appearance, standing at a mere 5 feet with a nearly toothless mouth, large glasses and a high childlike voice, often charmed those she encountered. Dee Dee went to great lengths not to hide Gypsy's health issues. Why should she, after all? They made a formidable couple, getting by despite the hardship Gypsy's health had bestowed upon them. But unfortunately for them, medical interventions had to continue, ranging from Botox treatments and the extraction of Gypsy's saliva glands, to managed drooling, to dental work and ear tube insertions to address ear infections. Gypsy was the forever ill child. And now she was missing. And with Dee Dee's death highly suspicious, the police, neighbours and friends were understandably extremely concerned for the welfare of Gypsy, a child reliant on constant support and medication. So what I've relayed so far is entirely true. What do you think might have happened? Try to think of another narrative on top of the facts that you've heard about so far. And unless you've heard about this case before, the mystery of the suspicious death of Dee Dee and the disappearance of Gypsy has a solution that is about as bizarre as it can get. We'll retell the story from a different point of view in part 2. So to find out what happened next and how the murder and disappearance got resolved, click the link in the description. Bye for now.